A pleasant good afternoon to everyone watching us live on Zoom and Facebook, and welcome to the first edition of SCMAP Live for 2022, presented in partnership with Yondu. I am Ana Rose Ochoa, your host for this event. A lot of things have happened in the past couple of years. Obviously, the pandemic has brought many disruptions to our companies and businesses. We are now presented with new realities and priorities that affect how we provide value to our partners and customers. The exponential growth of e-commerce, the emergence of new work methods and arrangements, and the creation of a more compelling case for digitalization. It is important that we don't just keep up with these changes, but be ahead of them to ensure that companies remain competitive and our customers continue to be satisfied. As part of this effort, manufacturers, suppliers, retailers are actively seeking technologies that can support their efforts to create a more transparent and sustainable supply chain. One of the demands we have seen in recent months is for even stronger visibility across the supply chain, one that allows us to make more informed and timely decisions regardless of where you are. It is why many companies, large or small, are embarking on their own digital transformation. On this edition of SCMAP Live, we will look at precisely that, how we can approach it, what considerations we should have, and what impact it will have on our businesses. I am joined today by panelists with extensive experience in supply chain digitalization across the region. First off is Karl Pulanco, Product Director for IT Services of Yondu. He heads the company's product portfolio management as well as research and development and has 7 years of experience in product management. Karl, welcome to SCMAP Live. Also joining us is Alex Pelayo, Associate Product Director for E-commerce Solutions of Yondu. He has worked with e-commerce, telecommunications, and fintech giants in the Philippines and the United States. Alex, welcome to SCMAP Live.
Hello, good afternoon.
Finally, joining us from Kuala Lumpur is Mathew, Regional Channel Manager for Acumatica Cloud ERP. He has over a decade of experience in ERP and business solutions across Asia Pacific and currently oversees projects in Singapore, Malaysia, India, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and the Philippines. Shine, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. So before we continue, you can always ask your questions as we go on through the chat box at Zoom, or you can scan the QR code to my left. Okay. So let's start with our discussions. I'd like to address this to Karl. We've seen in the past couple of years how many enterprises are applying digitalization across their supply chains, using technologies to create more agile and collaborative networks and models. Can you tell us more about digital transformation journey of some of the companies you have worked with and what was the process like for them?
Right. Well, firstly, digital transformation has been quite overly used by a lot of organizations, right? It's a broad concept, and what we need to take away from this, I believe, is the definition of it for you or for your organization. So before we even begin with that journey, we have to understand and go through the tedious process on why we want to do it in the first place. So, because remember, the most crucial part of this journey is knowing your objectives, and you have to have done your due diligence, probably done your own research, and have set your organizational goals. Now, when we talk about our firsthand experience, as we see it, a lot of organizations have set their goals. A lot of them wants to instantly automate the tasks that they may have challenges with in their operations. So to be frank, this mindset alone separates the followers versus the leaders in this area. Why? Because leaders understand that once you commit to this objective, it's going to be a full commitment from their end. And they are committed to take these risks, committed to pivot their businesses as needed, committed to take a step back and take the time to look at the 360-degree view of their company. So going back to the question, here at Yondu, we encounter a lot of interesting requirements, right? If we talk about why they are eager to implement, it's mostly because of the trend that they don't want to be left out. And while we agree that in effect, the impact of this could be felt either through the revenues, their distribution or sales channels, we believe that the easily left out part of this is our consumers. The customer behavior changes and their needs changes, their wants. Even the slightest thing about having a mobile application, for example, for easier access to your products. If you understand this and put customers in the forefront of your journey, I believe that you are starting it right. So, but let me get this straight. So, not all of businesses, of course, are the same. So, short-term goals may revolve around increasing revenues, reducing risks, streamline their operations. They want to secure the revenue streams and continuously grow their business. Some even wanted to add additional channel for to increase their customer touch points. They want to connect via their websites, or they want to connect via their Facebook pages, social media pages. All those customer touch points are very important. And on the other hand, long-term success will also depend on, I believe, it's been part of our value that we pursue customer experience and making sure that we impact the experience of the customers, from order processing up to fulfilling their orders, or simple as that, right? So understanding their behavior, I believe, and making sure that we are data driven when we make decisions, and of course the integrated value chain, giving them the holistic idea of what you're getting into as well.
Okay, thank you. So they have to begin with a big why. Why are you doing the business transformation?
Exactly.
Okay. Oh, speaking of digitalization and digitization, what technology trends have you observed when it comes to transforming the supply chain?
Okay. In supply chain management, the value that digitization gives is, it's mostly enabling your organization to have room for flexibility, building your business process, automating it. It all accelerates innovation in supply chain management. So in order to take maximum advantage of digitized supply chain models, it is important that we all look at the overall business model and the organizational structure itself. So I'm not here to say that you are limited to the tech trends, nor will I give you what you should do, right? It's about you and your customers, and only you will know how to bridge the gap between them. And what we're here for is to help you build that or refine it more quickly and more efficiently if you wanna, pursue that path. So in digital supply chain, it provides mostly significant more visibility on the workings of the chain. It's a process of integrating and applying advanced digital technologies into supply chain operations, from procurement of the data, inventory management, to transportation and distribution. For instance, asset tracking can provide instant updates on location, including when the cargo is in transit. So before we go to the trends, right, the ultimate goal of this supply chain digitalization is to enable insights for greater efficiency. And you have to understand that first, right? With that, we can facilitate greater profits afterwards, right? It's like it's something that will transform you, that you can better move your resources, your people, your assets, and even your inventory when they are needed and at a given time, and reducing the cost and responding proactively to transportation and manufacturing risks. So some of the trends that have started and are continuously being developed that we see are, definitely e-commerce has been booming since the pandemic started. Everyone had their sales channels. Everyone was selling online because no one can go out, right? And the traditional brick and mortar shops are no longer operational. They all moved into e-commerce. So the automation from order processing up to fulfillment, similar to the drop shipping model that we're seeing in the US as well. So definitely e-commerce integration is top one of the trends that we're seeing. Another one is blockchain. So where the smart contracts allows you to reconcile purchases and audit them accurately. So it could be the price, the dates, the quality of your products, the certification of your products, and more. Apart from that, we also are looking at better IoT and AI integration. Technologies such as embedded sensors, GPS, and RFID have helped companies transform their existing traditional setup. It's a mix, it's kind of hybrid, a mix of paper-based and IT supported processes. Supply chain structures into more, agile and flexible and open, and be more collaborative in a way. So with these trends actually continuously being implemented, there's no denying that the organizations are willing to digitize their supply chain management from the traditional approach to improve how their operations work, improve agility, efficiency, and visibility.
Okay, thank you very much, Carl. So when we talk about digital transformation in business, the first thing that always comes to mind, as explained earlier by Carl, is e-commerce. So we've seen retailers embrace online shopping at the height of the pandemic, whether it be through their own platform or by using a mobile app. But there are also challenges to adopting e-commerce. Some businesses try to be in every digital platform, spreading themselves too thin and impacting how they serve their customers on both traditional and online avenues. So, Alex, my next question is for you. How can businesses, particularly retailers, assess which online platform they can use so that they can continue serving their current customers while reaching out to new ones?
Thank you for the question. Um, I think now is a very good time for businesses to really explore the different online channels, no? 10, 20 years ago, especially here in the Philippines, um, online shopping was limited, especially since the big players before was the likes of Amazon, eBay, no? But now we have channels like Lazada, Shopee, and brands have access to different e-commerce services that are straightforward to use. So from a business point of became popular during the pandemic. Marketplaces are good for people who already know what they're looking for. So they have an idea that they want to buy sports shoes or sneakers, no, and they know the specific style that they want to or the specific brand. They can easily go into the marketplace app or website. They can search for the product and they can find it easily. And in terms of customer experience, they can add multiple products from different stores. They'll make the payment one time, and then all the items are delivered to the house. So very straightforward. Yung the processes when using marketplaces are straightforward. Um, but the biggest trade-off with marketplaces, if you'll notice, um, the interface or the storefront when you go into the store, um, it could be cluttered or crowded when you're just browsing through the store. Also, sometimes you're not sure if or guaranteed that the products are authentic. So and the other trade-off when using marketplaces, um, customer behavior or customer data and analytics is very limited. You do have reports from the marketplaces, but if businesses wanted to be specific with their target marketing and digital marketing efforts, um, the access to that kind of data is very limited when going into marketplaces. So on the other side, that's where having your own online store becomes valuable. It becomes valuable because businesses will now have control over their branding and marketing efforts. which should be based on data as well. Since when companies decide to put up their own online store, no, they can really focus on really being targeted when reaching out to their customers. And as shoppers, and we I think a lot of us here spend a lot of time online shopping. Um, we when deciding to buy from a specific store, I think what's most important is that the experience or the customer experience when shopping is very personalized for the shopper. And when businesses can focus on providing good customer experience and support, that really encourages repeat business. Um, Going back to the question, how can businesses decide what channels to be on? Um, just to kind of scope or limit the scope of different online e-commerce services, you have the likes of Lazada and Shopee, and the bigger players for the online stores such as Shopee, WooCommerce, and then we also have our own e-commerce product. No, for businesses who have limited manpower doing e-commerce activities. So if you have a small team, about 1 to 2 people, Shopify is usually recommended for those types of for that size of a team, since Shopify has all of the important features, and it's easy for a non-technical person to use the platform. The second one is WooCommerce or Magento. Since those are free-to-use softwares, companies can really customize the features and the shopping experience when building on top of those platforms. Or you can partner with the likes of other e-commerce services, which have all of the features and available off the shelf for a subscription-based model.
Thank you for those insights, Alex. So indeed, it's important to transform your supply chain processes to fully take advantage of going digital. It is not enough to just have a digital storefront. We've seen major retailers, for example, invest in new store processes, tools, and technologies to make them more flexible and efficient, and to better cope with surges, downturns, and disruptions. So my next question is for Shine. How important is digital transformation in supply chain management?
It's a hi, sorry. It's a very good question, Ochi. So companies right now are changing constantly, and by nature, as a business, you feel that you need to have the competitive edge always, right? And this urgency is actually pushing companies to think about transforming themselves and try to utilize as many tools as possible to achieve this. Now, there are studies that show that 85% of many of the company's decision makers always have a feel that they need a time frame of at least 2 years to catch up, to make those steps so that they don't fall behind their competitors at all. So digital transformation has become, you could say, an important requirement. It's quite funny, like, because Alex and Karl was mentioning a lot of topics, and this is leading towards what I was going to explain as well. Like, companies are evolving in such a way that during the pandemic, it just accelerated that process, right? They're always doing it. Companies always had that constant idea that I want to better myself, right? That's a human nature as well when you think about it. But the speed or the urgency came up when during the pandemic, when companies could not sell at the retail outlet level, like brick and mortar shops are shut down during the COVID period. Moving to an online retailing business was the edge that you need to have, because people were shopping online most of the time, me including. Don't even ask, it's that bad. So the key thing is how to scale up so quickly. And this is where, like Alex mentioned about Lazada, Shopee, marketplaces. Again, it's not about that. It's also about having control on your margins. So this is where having your own web shop like Shopify would make more sense. But why stop at that? So you have Shopify, you have Lazada, you have Shopee. This expansion, this many channel, these are all transformations that people do or companies do. One of the biggest example I give when it comes to why digital transformation is important is the classic story of Netflix, right? So how Netflix started off, well, before they started their business, they in fact reached out to a company called Blockbuster, right? I don't know if anyone knows Blockbuster. I'm very old, so I actually had a membership card with Blockbuster, so you could see, you would know my age by now. So and when they reached out to Blockbuster, they had this idea, this visionary idea of putting all the videos Blockbuster had on streaming platform. Blockbuster said, it's ridiculous. Sorry, it wouldn't work for us because Blockbuster's major revenue did not come from rentals of their videos. It has always been for late fees, right? People inevitably always take their things back late when they borrow it or they rent it out. It happens. And this is the biggest revenue. If you have streaming, it doesn't make sense. You can't collect anything other than the fact that you're paying monthly. So you know the story now, and this is what we're living in right now, where Netflix is the most successful streaming platform in the world, and Blockbuster as a company is not there anymore, right? Companies have to change, and transforming yourself digitally is a key requirement at this point of time.
Okay. Thank you for giving us that background on Netflix. So what steps does one company take to implement a digital supply chain aside from having that big why?
Right. So there are a lot of big changes that are happening right now when you think about digital transformation. I'm not talking about the pandemic part. As part of a regular roadmap every year, technology is evolving, and it is something that we cannot stop, right? And most companies make the mistake of not being on par, or you could say being ready to adopt these new technologies that is coming out. For example, people talk about software and cloud, like Acumatica. So Acumatica is a cloud ERP. When I started working in Acumatica 6 years ago, it was very rare for a company to invest or even think about implementing or setting up their system on a cloud environment 6-7 years ago. And since then, it has changed dramatically, because when I was, you could say, doing business of Acumatica, we were selling more of on-premise based setups at that time. Around 60 or 70% were on-premise. It's changed dramatically because now we have 75% of our business is from SaaS, is cloud ERP, right? We didn't change our model. Our model has always been there, where customers can choose between implementing on-premise or going on cloud. The companies have realized the importance of it, and they have built on that bandwagon where they thought that cloud technology is the way to move forward with. And identifying that at the key time or the key moment is quite important when you're trying to implement something like for your supply chain, for example. One key aspect is most people forget is mobility. We talk about e-commerce, yes, but we talk about ERP is good, but mobility is one of the aspects that is very important right now. When a person wakes up in the morning, the first thing that the person does is not go and kiss your spouse, but is take the phone that is sitting on the next to your bedside to check what's happening there. It is happening because people are so used to using the mobile devices. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it is what is happening right now. And what most of them that you do is check your emails, you check your news, and exactly what Alex said, check the mobile app for shopping. That's one key thing that happens. And this is where having the technology that is ready for mobility, and mobility is changing as well. The platform keeps changing, right? Whatever Android, iOS devices are there, it keeps ramping up year on year. And having the right solution to cater for that is quite important as well. One more element to keep in mind is about analytics. Having a tool is good, but if running a business is based on information, right? And you need to have the right information to make the best possible decisions to run your business. And if you don't have the right information, it's garbage in, garbage out. I always like to say that because, you don't have the right information, you're going to make mistakes. And what decisions you make has a big impact, because it's not about having like a revenue coming in. When you have an organization, there are people depending on you, right? So your decisions matter, and having the information on hand makes a big difference. And obviously the key point right now, and this is something everyone should be aware of, is cybersecurity. You hear the news always. Security is a big main issue right now because you have ransomwares, you have virus attacks. It is something that is happening, and how secure you are, what solution you use or tools you use, and if the security is good enough, then you're protected. And being on cloud is actually there, right? So it allows you that little bit of an edge, or when you compare yourself with an on-premise setup. On-premise means you need to make sure you're up to speed when it comes to security. You're on cloud, the managed services related to it takes care of this part. It is their obligation, it's their responsibility to do that. And you're not doing it, you're paying for it. So you need to make sure that service is included. And it's the same for Acumatica as well. So for example, a lot of people ask me, Shine, if I'm going to host my solution on cloud, how secure you guys are? It's important, right? We need to factor this in when you decide on implementing such steps on digitalizing your supply chain.
Okay, thank you. Shine, you've been part of the digital transformation of many businesses across the region. Can you tell us about their experiences with embracing supply chain automation to build flexibility and adaptability into their supply chain?
Right. Yeah, good question about that. I mean, Acumatica for us in Cloud ERP, we have been on a digital transformation journey, not just for companies, but even for ourselves. And our whole point of it is to how to showcase automation to our customers. We have been trying to bring these automation and transformation tools. It's an enterprise grade tool, which we are bringing it to all size companies. We always had this problem where there are a lot of tier-based solutions out there. Based on the size of a company, right, you need to embark on this kind of, but for us, it's all about the solution should fit whatever size you are. And because you as an organization, or we as an organization, is not just a silo. You always end up having two different entities in your group. One of them might be smaller than you, and the other one is big. But you cannot have one size, one big size and then cater for the small one. You need to have one size fits all kind of concept here. Now, in the Philippines itself, we have around 100 customers, and most of them are from distribution, manufacturing, and the construction industry, right? If you look at it, all these industries have supply chain as part of their processes all the way across. And one of my best examples is, for example, we have a customer called Motor Trade. Now, Motor Trade is one of the biggest motorcycle distributor in the whole of Philippines. They have around 800 outlets, right, throughout. Not just that, we have Ropali Group, which is also another motorcycle distributor. So the reason I brought up this topic is because Motor Trade had 800 outlets. In order to manage their business, and the scale of it is vast because it's across all islands, right? And to get this, even the bikes to each and every branch from the warehouse is actually a big task. And when Motor Trade embarked on this, they needed a solution where it covered the whole cycle, right? It had to cover not only procurement of the motorbikes, because the bikes are not their own, right? They are actually reselling Honda, different brand bikes. So shipments have to come in, receiving to the warehouse, managing the warehouse stock. Not only that, when you have motorcycles, you have associated spare parts. This is a nightmare. Spare parts are a nightmare for automobile dealers, right? Because tracking small parts is very difficult in a warehouse. How do you manage this? If you don't have the right solution to keep track of your bins, volumes, first in, first out, all these are things which happen in the warehouse. It's tracking the visibility is gone. And this is not small amounts as well, right? And not only that, when each outlet require those spare parts or bikes to be delivered on time, it is also important to know that what are the sales at these outlets? Actually, Motor Trade and all outlets are using Acumatica as sales order management as well at the outlets. So the reason why they didn't want to go with the point of sale is because they wanted real-time information coming in. So every outlet, they can see visibility of sales happening. What are the stock levels of the motorbikes happening there? What are the stock levels of spare parts? Is it falling below the minimum safety stock and they need to replenish immediately? So this is all managed at the back end itself. They can see everything. And having the logistics associated with it, having the delivery vehicles and trucks that are allowed to manage the deliveries to everyone, this is where the whole supply chain is covered. Not only that, so Motor Trade is one example. The other example we have, and it's a very good one, is Premium Megastructures in Philippines. This is a company that does both construction and manufacturing. They do manufacturing of concrete precast. They have a construction company. So you can think now, I have a manufacturing of precast. I can actually buy from my sister company what I want to implement for my construction business. There is supply chain happening between two associated companies as well here. It's not even for an end customer, but even sister companies are doing this. And they are using this Acumatica for both the companies at the same time. So one is running this separate business from the other, but there is a relationship between them because they do business with each other as well. And this, as a holistic level, as a group level, when PMI's owner, Francis Chua, he looks at his dashboard, he can see, okay, my manufacturing business, how it's happening, my construction is happening this way, where's my loss coming from? Where's my profit coming from? Where can I drill down? Where's the associations happening or the affiliations are happening? So this is where it's very important to have this kind of solutions where you can track end to end of your process, not only for your end customers, but also for your business subsidiaries as well.
Thank you, Shine, for sharing your experience with local companies. So it's been an insightful first half of the program, and we have more coming up after the break. So don't forget, you can still continue to ask your questions through our chat box, and we'll get to them later in the event. So you're watching SCMAP Live, presented in partnership with Yondu. We'll be back after this short break.
The secret to business success isn't really a secret. These days, businesses have to adapt quickly and efficiently in order to achieve success. You need to find what works best for your business and its unique needs. And when it comes to accelerating your digital transformation in order to thrive and grow, the secret is Yondu. Because with Yondu as my business's IT partner, I'm able to focus on the things that really matter. Yondu takes care of my business's unique needs, like automating mundane tasks and providing customized IT solutions, allowing it to thrive even in uncertain times. And thanks to their 24/7, 365 support, I can better focus on my customers. No secrets, just swift, relevant, and innovative solutions. With Yondu, my business is ready for any challenge. Accelerate your digital transformation with Yondu, technology made human. Looking to improve your business processes and streamline your workflow? Take your business to the next level and go digital with Yondu's business and productivity solutions, which give you a wide variety of resources, tools, and technology to help your business run more effectively and efficiently. From ready-to-use software to top-notch productivity tools, Yondu optimizes your operations and maximizes your time. Accelerate your business's digital transformation with Yondu's business and productivity solutions today. Yondu, technology made human. Wherever you roam, make working on the go a breeze with Yondu's cloud services. An immensely flexible, scalable, and cost-effective IT solution that offers your business data stability, reliability, and security with no second thoughts. Accelerate your business's digital transformation with Yondu's cloud services today. Yondu, technology made human. When it comes to finding IT solutions based on your business's specific needs and goals, look no further than Yondu's custom software development services, which develops a tailor-fit software solution for you from the ground up, handling everything from design to development to testing to launch and support, all from a team of highly skilled professionals. Give your business the growth it deserves and achieve greater results. Accelerate your business's digital transformation with Yondu's custom software development services today. Yondu, technology made human. When it comes to finding a comprehensive end-to-end experience that will take your retail business online and beyond, look no further than Vessel, the #1 e-commerce solution for sellers. Vessel is innovative and user-friendly, made to meet your business's unique needs and goals, transforming it digitally by managing, integrating, and helping you grow online. Vessel handles all of your e-commerce needs and beyond, from your online storefront to operations processes to after-sales support, unifying and automating supply chain and inventory management, as well as fulfillment and delivery, and is made ready to handle marketing and SEO tools, providing you with valuable business intelligence to take your retail business to the next level. Accelerate your business's digital transformation and grow with Vessel today. Brought to you by Yondu, technology made human. Looking for a way to meet the day-to-day needs of your business while managing its growth? Search no further than Yondu's Managed Services, an outsourced service solution that lets a team of experts handle your developmental and IT operations while giving you the freedom and peace of mind to focus on the more important task of running your business. Tailor-suited to your needs and geared to achieve your goals, Yondu's Managed Services offer a wide variety of solutions and resources. From innovative solutions and fresh perspectives for your corporate development needs, to IT services that manage specific tasks or the entirety of your operations with 24/7 monitoring and support. Guarantee your business's growth through managed services and accelerate your digital transformation today with Yondu, technology made human.
Welcome back to SCMAP Live, presented in partnership with Yondu. I am Ana Rose Ochoa, and still with us are Karl Pulanco and Alex Pelayo of Yondu, and Mathew of Acumatica. So we've been talking about how companies are embarking on their digital transformation journeys and the tools that we can use to digitize our supply chains and better serve our customers. So we heard about blockchain, about ERP solutions, and about cloud computing. So my next question is for Karl. Let's say I already have my own systems in place for inventory, for procurement, for accounting. How do I bring them together? So how do I centralize my data for quicker access and greater flexibility and avoid silos?
I believe centralizing data is easy when you have them, right? You have multiple applications in place. Like you mentioned, you have an ERP, for example, you have an HR system, or you have a fleet management system or inventory management on different areas. It's easy, right, when you have them. A quick answer is definitely integrating all these applications by making sure that you've connected all your legacy and modern applications to be able to really communicate with each other. But as we see it here in the organization, we've worked with a lot of companies who has been able to actually centralize their data, but it still doesn't fulfill their requirements, right? So I think the challenge that we see here is not always the case of upgrading your system or having another applications to make sure that you capture that data on another set of applications. So you are just making your everything more complicated for you, and the data being unstructured like that, right? We believe that it's more on revamping the current structure, understanding the way you work, the things or the data that you need, and when you need them, and the way your tools work definitely is the most important thing. There's a lot of applications there in the market right now. It's readily available off the shelf, they call it. In fact, modern applications are mostly capable in integrating one another. for example, Acumatica, right? So something like Acumatica, investing in them is a major commitment. You must be committed long term to it. So, but it needs further study, because understanding what your company needs is the first step, like what I mentioned earlier, right? But the fact that these ready-to-use software, like Acumatica, makes it also a point that you're not ending up creating one more silo for you. So these applications are also now capable in plugging in a desired addition to your business. So it may be a new sales channel through e-commerce. You can manage your logistics through fleet management, or even HR applications, your payroll, your timekeeping, how you track your fleets, how your warehouse works internally, how your operations within the warehouse works if you have multiple sites. There are also other solutions, of course, apart from the boxed solutions that are available in the market. You can also build your own middleware, integrating legacy systems to be able to push and pull the data that you need on the fly. So that's the key there, right? Making sure that it could be a dashboard that you need, so that you have a monitoring, or if you have an available command center looking after all of your transactions. So one of the use case that we've also did is one fast food chain, quite big fast food chain as well, right? So they keep on adding sales channels, right? They have mobile application. They added a new business model wherein there is a pick and pack operations as well, and happening like that. So a lot of these things are easily overlooked, right? How they would work internally with you. So making sure that all these applications, even before you get them, is crucial to that step, right? In centralizing your data, making sure that all at the end of the day, you'd be able to reconcile all, the inventory, the revenues that you make, and the losses, even the losses that you make, the return, the exchanges, and stuff like that, right? So at the end of the day, it's more on making sure that you understand what data you need, and having to understand when you need them as well.
Okay, thank you. Such powerful insights, Carl. So Shine, on to you. Since Carl mentioned about ERP systems, you've handled cloud ERP solutions for over 10 years. So what do you think should businesses consider when it comes to onboarding and implementing new processes, especially new digital tools?
Right. So very good question again. So I've always noticed that, and this is one thing that we always know, the only constant in life is change. But the problem is people fear the change as well. And that is also another constant that's happening right now. So from my experience, many companies make the mistake of not trying to adopt new changes, even though the tool is there, but adopting the changes to their processes to to understand what are the best approaches to do a kind of an operation in your business. It sometimes takes a little bit of a courage, because you're so used to doing many things for many years in one certain point of way, and then some new solution comes along, and then the process is put across to you, but you don't feel like changing. It's human nature, and this is the problem of constant fear of change, right? This happens. And so one way I see forward, and for many companies, is to not be afraid to make this change. You will always notice the best run companies you will see right now globally are always evolving, right? They never stick to what they're doing right now. They always keep evolving. Every year it's something new, or some innovations have to be done in order to be up to speed. The classic example is an iPhone. iPhone, when it came out by Apple, was a game changer. But the problem is there are a lot of competition. Samsung came out and they're also innovating. So good thing about having competition is that you are on your toes, right? You want to keep changing accordingly as well, and how to stay ahead of the curve accordingly. So, technologies like Acumatica, right? It's there always as a tool. It's one of the tools that you're there, but it's not all that it takes though. because both people and processes have to be updated as well. You know, it's not like many years ago where accessibility to information was challenging, right? But now, you know, we have information at our fingertips. Internet is available, mobile apps are available. So community plays a big role when it comes to this kind of engagement. So for example, learning from the community is a game changer as well, because there are a lot of people out there where you can engage with to understand, to learn as well, how to make changes to your business processes. One of the classic things we did to adopt this is why we did in Acumatica is what we call community.acumatica.com, right? So this portal or community forum is open to anyone. Anyone can access it. Anyone can, you know, if you have a login, you can put even your feedback. You can get other people's feedback of what other companies are doing globally, right? So this is a community forum where you learn from other people as well. It always happens, right? You know, we always look at the industry leaders to see what they are doing better than us. And we try to see how to adopt that as well. So keep learning is the key element here. And always keep in mind, having a tool like an ERP is not just for the sake of maybe using it only for your finance department, or wait a second, I have a requirement for my inventory, let's just use it for that. No, it should be about connecting your business all together. Having all your team or departments, your divisions, all running on the same platform, or at least connected platforms, right, is the way to move forward. We have seen a lot of companies out there who fail because most of their team members are disconnected from each other and information is not moving across each other as well. And one element to keep ahead of this is to have integrations, like how Karl mentioned, right? So when you have integrations with different solutions running together, yes, for another department. At the end of the day, the effort involved, you know. So this is where we have to keep things in mind. Collaboration. Are we using a tool where it allows you for remote collaborations as much as possible? The pandemic gave us a very, very severe lesson here, right? Where companies had to shut down immediately and people had to work from home. But did the companies have the solutions to cater for this scenario? This is where we saw the biggest rise in customers in the Philippines, especially, where during the pandemic, we had companies reaching out saying, my server is down. I can't send even an IT person to the office because there's a movement control order in place. So it's not just Philippines, but it's here in Malaysia, Singapore, everywhere. And businesses realize the challenge, what happens when you're running on a legacy ERP or a solution like this. Going cloud would have been the best option at that point of time. And cloud has been there for a long time, right? So, but now people have realized, the companies have realized the importance of it because it was a harsh lesson and we are learning from it right now. And in addition to this, it's also not about investing in a solution just to cater for what you need right now. As an organization or a company, we are thinking always ahead, right? We don't think in terms of, let's think in terms of this year. It's not like that. Usually big, successful companies think in terms of 3-year roadmap or 5-year roadmap. That's how you do it. Your planning and how much growth am I expecting year on year, or if there's a downturn, even you make sure you accommodate that downturn as well, because you can't do that. And having a technology where you think that, oh, I would like to invest in a solution right now because I need it right now. But having a technology which is future-proof, that means you have something ready now, yes, but when I scale up my business, is this same technology or platform going to still help me grow my business accordingly? Is there something that helps me scale up at the same time, like how I grow. And this is what companies should be looking for: solutions which scale according to what their business is growing as well. One of the biggest customers we have is Switch Philippines in Switch and iStore, which is the Apple reseller. In fact, they're part of the same group. They're owned by the same owners. They started with Acumatica 4 or 5 years ago, and they scaled up because of pandemic. They are on marketplace. So if you notice, they're on Lazada and Shopee. They have stores. Last year, they launched their own website where they Shopify, right? So this scalability can be done because Acumatica has ready integrations for every platform that I mentioned now. So Lazada is there, Shopee is there, Shopify is there. Perfect. All they had to do was get the connector, apply it, their business runs. If it is a normal solution, the problem is you need to look for someone to develop the connectors with two solutions, which involves cost, which involves upkeep. So these are things which allow you to think a bit further before you even just start thinking of investing in it. Whereas right now, if you have the ready integrations, you have a tool which is future ready, making that investment is a sound choice, right? You don't have to think too much. You know that if I scale up my business, okay, like the platform I'm on will be there to meet my requirement as well.
Thank you very much, Shiny. Learning a lot from you, really, about integration, collaboration, and future-proofing our business. So I'd like to ask Alex, what is the impact of centralizing data and automating processes on customer satisfaction?
Thank you for the question, Ochi. I'll start first by what Shine mentioned earlier. No, I like what he said. He mentioned that running a business should be based on information. Karl also mentioned having an audit of all of the apps and integrations that are needed. No, so all of the information, customer data, and business operation informations are stored in one place. That becomes important because that means the business can really focus on optimizing their operations. When a business takes focus on improving their business operations, that works hand in hand with being customer centric. So when a business doesn't have to worry about what's happening behind the scenes, they can really start putting focus on customer centricity. So why is it important for enterprises to centralize their data and automate their processes? Two quick examples. Have you ever gone to your favorite online store? You wanted to buy the limited edition black sneakers, no, black shoes. You go online, you add it to the cart, but it was out of stock. Right then and there, the customer, that's already lost business. Me as the buyer will find that product somewhere else. I think most of the time what that boils down to was with the lack of inventory management or the lack of access to the data. Because imagine if the operations person or the person handling fulfillment had access to inventory, they could have proactively seen that the stocks or quantity of that particular product was already low. So having centralized information could have avoided that kind of situation. Another example where automation becomes important. For example, you're an enterprise business, you're processing thousands of transactions online. What if a handful, or let's say 10 or 20% of those transactions were actually refunded or needed to be canceled and the money sent back to the customer? Imagine if you didn't have automation and then your small team of 3 to 5 people doing e-commerce had to process that manually. They had to go into their order management dashboard. They had to process all of that one by one. The impact to the customer means they would have to wait for their money, the refund to be processed, and their money to be sent back to them. So in terms of how that impacts the customer, it will really it will really impact their confidence in doing business with that company or with that brand. So imagine if that company had a single point of view in terms of checking the inventory, in terms of order management, in terms of fulfillment, logistics, etc. Those issues could have been avoided if everything was in the same place, and so that customers can expect that consistent buying experience when doing business with that brand. Another cool thing about automations, this goes away from the operational aspect and more into the marketing point of view. One challenge across all size of business and across all types of e-commerce software is that when it comes to marketing, most of the time you're accessing customer data from somewhere else, and then you have to sort through the data one by one to really check the customer personas, the different best-selling products, etc. When data is centralized, it becomes easy to automate those types of marketing campaigns. I can give an example. I've been doing groceries online since the start of pandemic. So for almost 2 years, every other week I go to my favorite online grocery, and that's where I buy my stocks. No, usually every month I have very similar items that I add to cart and check out. In terms of brand, in terms of product, in terms of quantity, it's very similar. So imagine if you had automation in place, wherein my buying behavior can be stored in that system, and then the system will already know that I'm already ordering these products month on month. Automation, that kind of system can already predict when I'm going to buy next and what types of products I would purchase. So an SMS can be sent to me or an email notification can be sent to me, and all I need to do is press the link and then make the payment, and then my groceries will be delivered. With automation and centralized data, that really benefits the customer experience, providing that personalized experience, so that as a customer, I would enjoy shopping with that brand or brand or with that company. So when a customer enjoys shopping, the shopping experience, you can expect them to be loyal in the long term, because the customer has confidence doing business with you.
Thank you, Alex, for that perspective on the side of the customers and your personal experience to shopping online. So as more enterprises take advantage of cloud technology to better manage data and platforms, an ongoing concern for both businesses and consumers is cybersecurity, as Shine mentioned earlier. We are concerned about personal information being leaked or sensitive data about how our company is run. So my next question is for Karl. Just how secure is data stored in the cloud?
Right. So I believe cloud evangelization, right, is something that's close really within Yondu. It's close to our heart, right? It's natural to wonder that if your data is safe when it's stored in the cloud, after all your files and your photos, videos, it's all being stored on servers that are not under your control, so to speak. As cloud storage and applications become more common, data security is an increasing concern as well. There are no doubt concerns about keeping your private information, and millions of user data might be hacked if they are online. And if they were more certain of its security, maybe they would 100% move to cloud like in an instant. We might have concerns about cloud computing, including the data protection, security threats, and potential data loss as well. But here are some reassurances I could say. Um, Information stored in the cloud is likely to be more secure than the files and images and videos stored in your own devices. Why? It's because the cloud companies often rely on far more robust cybersecurity measures to protect your sensitive data. Remember that hackers can use malware and phishing emails to get your information stored on your own devices. They might freeze your computer, demanding ransom before they release your files and data they've frozen. And the security measures undertaken by larger companies providing cloud services like Amazon or Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure, they are more likely to be more robust and powerful than what we're doing to protect our home computer and devices. It may be consistent security updates. The cloud security providers will regularly update its security measures. They have AI tools available. The patches at the first level of security, cloud companies provides a more reliable AI technologies to be able to stop these attempts at first touch points. Of course, they also rely on built-in firewalls. These rules are also set by the cloud providers to filter out the suspicious traffic. And there's a lot, right? There's also redundancies, third-party security testings, proactive penetration testings, and better governance on accesses on the servers or the whole infrastructure itself. And lastly, definitely they have their own encryption, right? But always remember that it's also our responsibility to protect the data while cloud providers provide security to the cloud environment. We must also do our due diligence in ensuring we implement data confidentiality processes and they are also in place. Because at the end of the day, what we can see on all cloud providers, right? It's what they call a shared responsibility model. They protect the cloud servers, the cloud infrastructure, and you got to make sure that you do your part as well, right?
Okay, thank you for your response to that question on cybersecurity. So why should businesses move to cloud? What benefits can they get?
Top of mind, it's definitely number one for me is scalability. This is something that we as a service provider can relate with. We've built applications that are 90% cloud native. Very rarely we deploy applications on premise because of a lot of factors, right? In terms of data management and making sure that the application will be accessible anywhere, especially now that a lot of users or consumers demands their suppliers to be able to have access to it real time. So when we talk about a growth of a specific platform or during product design, it's already considered to be utilized massively. And to be able to have that flexibility in terms of short and long-term cost, we will be able to optimize how we can allocate your infrastructure requirement. Which leads me to another value of cloud services, right? It also gives us some leeway pertaining to the growth in usage and in utilization. So how does that help us, right? Its model is based on a pay-as-you-go model, and this is not limited to one cloud provider only. Now, most of the service providers gives you that freedom to have control over your resources and assets. So those top two, I think, is the most valuable, benefits that you can get from these cloud services. Of course, apart from the security that we've already mentioned already earlier, and as well as being able to speed up your product to market, having it in the cloud on the fly.
Okay, thank you, Karl. So Shine, my next question is for you. Let's look closely into cloud ERP. Let's say I'm looking to move into that system. What should I consider when choosing a cloud ERP solution?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. One of the key factors to keep in mind is about why do you want to move to cloud? First of all, right? So the challenge with legacy ERPs or solutions has always been about they're running on old platforms or architectures, running on old client server architectures, which is something that no one does anymore, right? And the funny thing is there are a lot of companies out there still sitting on those old platforms or architectures. And the problem is the technology around us is evolving every day, right? And it's moving very fast rate. And we have to keep upgrading, right? Updating ourselves as well. It's the classic example is using your mobile phone. So your phone, you have iOS or Android, you always keep updating it, right? There's a reason why you keep updating it is because it's not, most of the time I never check what these updates include, never. I mean, it just says agree and move on, right? I just do that. But if you actually go check the details, it's quite interesting to see what all features are added on or what all bug fixes are being sorted out. These are the things most consumers don't think about. When you look at enterprise level, a cloud-based ERP, we always have to keep this in mind about because it's impacting your business. So you have a solution that needs to upgrade. We need to make sure that it's being upgraded. Most cloud ERP is subscription based. So every year you're paying for this, right? This service, where it's not about just utilizing the platform right now. As I said earlier, it's about scalability and how Karl mentioned, scalability is the key element here. And if you are investing in something which does not provide you more features every year, right? New features because businesses are changing. So the solution that you're using, they keep adding more solutions to it or features to it, which helps you in the long run as well. But if you don't have those benefits, that means it's not the right solution for you. You should never even think about investing in that kind of solution. Version upgrades are important. Like I gave the example of the mobile phone, it's there everywhere. You're using Windows or a Mac OS, you keep upgrading it. There's a reason why you do it, because you like to get new things for yourself, right? It's always there. We need those things, which is new. And that's what happens when a cloud solution like Acumatica. For us, we have 2 major releases every year. So that means customers globally in Acumatica who are running on it actively, every year they have the choice to upgrade 2 times if they want. If not 2, at least once. Why? Because every year the release that comes out includes more and more features to it. And when a customer sees it, they will think, or a company sees, they will think, hey, these new features are good for me, right? It'll actually help me right now, or I'm starting a new line of business in a few months. These new additional features will in fact benefit me because I'm going to be starting this business soon, and I can incorporate this to that new line of business. So these are the advantages that's come along. So you don't have to think about buying a new solution because this feature is not there, but the features are available to you, so you can just use the same solution because it's being scalable. Other things to keep in mind is cost. Now, not many people like to talk about it, but cost is a big reason why companies think about whether embarking on cloud solution or an on-premise solution. When you think about on-premise, it's not a problem. I mean, if you have an on-premise, it's not an issue. If you're running it properly, it's okay. But then the associated cost around it, not many people think about it. These are what we call hidden costs, right? Where when you set up an environment, a solution on your own server, so you need to buy your own server, right? That's one thing. You need to have maybe a Windows OS server to put the solution into it. You need to have an MS SQL database. Okay, so you need to buy that and put that onto it as well. Then you need an IT team. Okay, you need someone to manage this whole thing. You should remember, upgrades happen not on the ERP part. Upgrades happen on Windows OS server. Upgrades happen on the MS SQL database. So someone needs to keep doing this on speed, right? You need to do that, because if you don't, you open yourself to vulnerable risks like security problems. I remember like last year or the year before where Microsoft announced a massive, big news announcement, like a security risk came up in their MS SQL database globally. And they had to release the patch, which had to be applied, which if not, then your risk was high. We are using MS SQL database, even on a SaaS environment. So we had to immediately put the patch across to all our customers globally. Otherwise, it's a risk, right? So But if I'm on premise, someone needs to do it. If you're on cloud, it is done as part of the managed services of the cloud provider itself, right? For example, in Acumatica, we have a SaaS team who does this. The customer does not have to worry about it or care about it. It is happening in the background, right? But if you have it on your premise, no, you need to be, you need to make sure you're, on your toes about this. So that means someone needs to be tracking this. And this is where security is always a risk. You always fall behind by chance. It's not someone's fault. It's just because it happens, right? And we just have to keep that in mind. So total cost of ownership, as I said, is big. We need to keep that in mind, because rather than having something on premise on your server, having something to be managed by someone and you're already paying for it, it's already included. And when you do the apple to apple comparison, how would it be? That is what you should look at. And as a company, this is what you should look at. Which makes more sense commercially and which makes more sense in terms of security as well. Third thing, and this is where we're tying things up, is accessibility. I already gave the story of what happened earlier, where a server crashed, work did not happen. Accessibility for cloud solution is one of the key takeaways, because you can access it from anywhere and on any device, and it's based on security by anyone as well, right? So this is where we need to have these kind of deciding factors before thinking about choosing a cloud ERP solution.
Thank you very much, Shine. So finally, we at SCMAP always talk about how the best supply chains provide value to customers, which in turn provide value to our partners and stakeholders. So Alex, my last question is for you. How do you think can we best satisfy our customers?
Hi, thank you. I think what customer satisfaction boils down to is how consistent a business can meet the expectations of their customers, because people are different, customers are different, and they have different expectations. So one, it's important to know who those different customers are, and so we can figure out how best to approach or communicate with them. Another tip would be to try and consider and find a way, at least for an online business point of view, how to consolidate your channels into one place so that fulfillment and operations can be managed centrally, so that the business can focus on strategy rather than working or figuring out the tools. Personalizing the way your customers find your brand would also help move them through the buyer's journey. So using different targeted marketing campaigns, planning different seasonal campaigns based on the centralized data would help promote sales. And then my last note would be, from an e-commerce point of view, what we have to remember, it's more than just the storefront, no. What we also need to consider are the things happening behind the scenes. So all of the different tools, the processes, how those work, how those can be improved, so that we can really optimize fulfillment and operation.
Thank you very much, Alex. Now we have time for one question. The question is, for a large operation that you can consider has been operating conventionally for many, many years, where or what is the first practical step for it to start moving into going digital? Any of the panelists can respond to that, please?
I guess I can take that one. The first step really, like what I mentioned earlier, would be under defining the goals, right? But apart from that, I guess a more concrete answer would be standardization, right? You have to, after you've done your setting up your objectives, it will be more focused on standardizing everything. You cannot jump into automation right away, because it's bound to fail, right? When you put in tools right away, you may see yourself, trapped in a place where you don't know what you're doing, and instead of making your operations more efficiently, it's gonna make it worse. So for me, it's more about the process, standardizing the processes, standardizing the ways you work, and standardizing how all of your tools um, work in harmony.
Anyone else from the panel?
Just want to add on to what Karl said, and it's just a complement to what complementary item. It's also about the tools that when a company is embarking on for digital transformation, what are the best practices that come along with it as well. So standardization is good. Like, we need to do that. But sometimes as an organization, since we are so we're not aware of what our external parties are, or we don't know what other good solutions are out there, we always assume that what we're doing is very good. We are a success. Maybe I'm a company that is very successful for many years, but my success is determined by my assumption that what I'm doing is correct. Maybe I could be more successful, right? And that what is limiting is because probably what process I'm doing, I can maybe make it better. And this best practices that you get. So for example, you have a cloud ERP or ERP solution, it comes along with best practices as well for every process in a supply chain organization or process. And if we adopt that, that's also very essential when it comes to improving ourselves, right? So that's the whole point of this exercise: change and improvement. Some people say don't change if it's not broken. It's not true, actually. When it comes to business, you only think about growth and how much more you can grow. And if you implement a best practice process in place to achieve that, you need to do it. Right? That's what we should look at.
So thank you to our panelists for this afternoon, Karl Pulanco and Alex Pelayo of Yondu, and Mathew of Acumatica. So thank you to all for our participants for this edition of SCMAP Live. And finally, a big thank you to our event partner, Yondu, for making this edition possible. So before we close, a reminder, our feedback form, which should be in your browsers at the end of the event. You can also keep in touch with SCMAP's upcoming events and activities on our website, scmap.org, as well as on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So that wraps up this afternoon's edition of SCMAP Live. I'm Ana Rose Ochoa, wishing you all good health in the coming weeks. We hope to see you in our future SCMAP events. Let's keep supply chain moving. Good day and God bless.